Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers, sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning in to the LL3 podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful land of enchantment. And today's date is Friday, March 27th, 2020. Yes, it looks like South Africa has a national lockdown. And we'll see how that far goes. And a lot of people didn't even know about Taiwan. Interesting about that because their rates were really low on this COVID-19 cases. And it's funny when they say the United States is now the epicenter of the highest count. And don't get me wrong, don't be surprised if the communist Chinese government are not giving you accurate information as well. So, but the whole thing is, how accurate are they? I can't even say it. I don't know for sure. So never focus on face value. You always got to see how deep the rabbit hole goes. That's just to anything. And of course, we all know who benefits from this: the banksters, the order, multinational corporations, the big pharma cartel, etc. They want us to be here like a bunch of good little boys and girls, being little peasants and slaves. But that's why, like I said before, stay vigilant on your health and do this voluntary, on your own free will, not what they want to tell you. It's intriguing, so I'm going to be talking a few things, be mainly from AmericanFreePress.net, and it looks like they did pass the bailout, and President Trump's supposed to sign it. And so I'm going to be talking a few things for that particular matter, and what Pat Buchanan has to say about the virus itself. Can it could kill the New World Order? So we'll just, here we go. And this one here is entitled $2 trillion bailout bill. Congress will have to pass it to know what it is, what's in it. So it'll be entitled the $2 trillion bailout plunder. So let's just read what it has to say about this. It'll be short and sweet. So this is shortly before the passage of Obamacare in 2010, Nancy Pelosi, Democrat from California, who was House Minority Leader at the time, said, "We have to pass the bill so that you can find out what's in it." Remember that? Good grief. Talk about carelessness, incompetence, and stupidity all in one tri-pound, all combined. The same can say of the massive $2 trillion bailout bill that the House is expected to pass on Friday, March 27th, which they have. So a far great deal of information has leaked about what is purportedly inside the massive piece of legislation. If the information is true, and we are deeply skeptical of anything leaking to the press in the age of President Donald Trump, the bailout bill actually looks good for working people and small businesses. According to the preliminary reports, cash payouts to individuals and anyone who unemployed will total in excess of $500 billion. More specifically, The Hill, a Washington, D.C. daily reports the Senate bill will provide a one-time $1,200 check for an individual making up to $75,000 per year or $2,400 for couples earning less than $150,000 a year. After that, it will be scaled down until it reaches the $99,000 income threshold for an individual or $198,000 for a couple. That will phase out altogether. It also provides an additional $500 per child. Another $400 billion will go small businesses in form of new business loans and relief for existing small business loans. Finally, large corporations will receive $500 billion, including nearly $60 billion, to bail out the airline industry. Interestingly, reports indicate that cruise ship companies, most of which register the ships outside the United States to avoid paying U.S. taxes, will receive no bailout money. One nauseating aspect of the legislative process, which was reported in depth by a number of mainstream media outlets, was the lobbyist feeding frenzy as the bailout bill was being drafted. The airline industry was singled out in particular as shortly before countries began closing their borders due to the pandemic, airline executives had engaged in financial shenanigans to enrich themselves. Dr. Paul Craig Roberts delved into this issue in his latest column, which you can find here, which I'm going to be reading it to folks. At 9 a.m. on March 27th, Pelosi told reporters, "We're going to pass it today," referring to the bailout bill. Trump has already said he will sign the bill if Congress passes it. So, it has passed. He will sign. And who will benefit the most? The Federal Reserve. They'll grab you right by the crotch and go, "I own you peasants." Money put out of thin air. Hyperinflation will come to light. They're all going to blame it on capitalism. Don't even fall for that, folks. Even to you anti-capitalists out there don't even know about Adam Smith's ideology. Don't even go there, because your rhetoric is null and void and be very arrogant indeed. I call us the New Deal 2020. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, President Roosevelt, will be extremely proud. Yeah, that's right, folks. This was going to be coming down to it. And they're going to try to use digital money, ID chips, and all that. They say, the money has the cooties. It has the coronavirus, COVID-19 on it. We can't use it. Digital money, ID chips would be safer. Yes. That is a fact. Do you remember the Joseph family after 9/11 in Boca Raton on Good Morning America saying, we all have the chips in there together? I'm just wondering how accurate that is, or how much they were paid to say that. You're going to see this with this, my friends. So don't even fall for the helicopter money propaganda machine. I believe every state in the union should let us use gold and silver as financial transactions, including our own state governments. The Federal Reserve is not government. It's a private institution. Like Dennis Kucinich says, former House Congressman. Federal Reserve is just like saying Federal Express. Or not as federal, like Federal Express. Ron Paul warned us about this as well. And if you want to verify it, just study the history of the Reichsmark, fall of the Reichsmark. That's how the Nazis took advantage of the situation. That's how they got into power. Central banks used money out of fiat to take care of the First World War, the restitution. And you know what? Everyone suffered in that nation. That's how Hitler got into power, my friends. You may see something like this here. Possible. You're going to try to say, you're going to give interference with security? How many of you sheeple out there go, "Okay, master, I will do anything for you. I will be your house and field peasant." Something to think about, right? I'm not. So, let's go see what Mr. Paul Craig Roberts has to say about this. Debt forgiveness and nationalizations are the answers to the economic health crisis. Mr. Roberts has to say about this. The U.S. airline companies have bankrupted themselves by buying back their stock in an enrichment scheme for CEOs and board members, with an impact of the virus on their revenues. Congress is handing them a $50 billion bailout. Instead of being bailed out, they should be nationalized. In the health and economic crisis in which we find ourselves, the government is going to need all the public to trust it can get. The government is going to need all the public trust it can get. Bailouts of those who cause their problems and ours won't meet the fairness test. As I previously wrote, nationalization is a four-letter word for many, but it actually offers a chance to correct for decades of deregulation and concentration and thereby restore competition to the economy. Nationalized banks, too big to fail, for example, can later be broken up in pieces sold back into private hands. Commercial banks can again be separate from investment banks, and concentrated financial power can be broken. Now that we know that markets are not self-regulating, we can restore sensible financial regulation and require banks to lend for productive purposes, not for financializing and leveraging existing assets. The U.S. financial system has not served the productive side of the U.S. economy for a long time. While ordinary heavily indebted Americans are losing their jobs left, right, and left as businesses close, shopping centers lobbyists are asking for a $1 trillion guarantee. Hotel industry wants $150 billion. The restaurant industry wants $145 billion. National Association of Manufacturers wants $1.4 trillion. Food services distributors are in trouble. Boeing wants $60 billion, funded in part by loan guarantees. Local and state governments need support. U.S. Conference of Mayors wants $250 billion. The list is endless. Why the hell local and state governments need support? We're the ones supposed to have the money sent to them, not the other way around. That's what happens when people say the 16th Amendment is legal. And what is to be done for 40% of Americans who, according to a Federal Reserve study, cannot raise $400 in cash without selling personal property? How are the large number of uninsured going to be cared for during this health crisis? Where will hospitals and medical practices get the money? The only solution is to nationalize health care so that the bills can be paid. We cannot survive large numbers of ineffective and jobless people roaming the streets waiting for food and whatever they can take. The only solution for the economy is debt forgiveness for ordinary people and nationalization for the companies. Trump indicated that aid might be given in form of an equity stake and later sells a government stake for a profit in a privatization when things return to normal. This would be partial nationalization, much to go whole hog as it allows to cure for concentration and deregulation. The pandemic has made it clear that a society of self-seeking individuals is not a society. A society is a social system. A successful social system is one that can support its members. Once a self-sustaining social system exists, then there is a basis for people to branch out on their own. But without sustainable social system, there can be nothing. To create a sustainable society in the United States requires the abandonment of dogmatic ways of thinking. Old ideologies are in the way. Our leaders must think creatively if we are to successfully deal with the health and economic crisis. Well, I can tell you one thing we got to do. We should terminate the Affordable Care Act because it violates the 10th Amendment. Okay, and go to a pro-big government. And the HMO Act of 1973, if it's still in the books or not. That's for the health crisis. Economics, the Federal Reserve needs to be destroyed. Terminate it. Get those bastards in prison for counterfeit. Colored law. RICO. It's all self-explanatory. Congress is supposed to regulate money, but gold and silver coins. I think every state in the union should take the initiative on passing bills into law, having bills into law that people can use gold and silver. I think a few states are starting to do that. And that's a great thing. Like Texas has the gold bullion depository. We need to have the states give more sovereignty, use more of the 10th Amendment actions. It is legit. Under Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution. All you got to do is read, folks. Don't assume. And shop locally. That's another thing. Even with the health system, for an example, natural remedies. There's plenty of information out there. You can start going to plenty of places. Good start, naturalnews.com. That's a great start. And there's plenty of others out there. Natural Blaze, it's called. Great stuff out there. All you got to do is say natural remedies, and you'll find a lot of great information on that. Time to educate ourselves in these areas and share it with people you care for in their own little neighborhood or communities. Instead of having Washington, D.C. take care of us. Because the fact is this, my folks. The states create the federal government, not vice versa. Those are my intakes on it. won't be better. It won't be perfect, but it'll be a hell of a lot better. And folks, learn to be more self-contained. Start growing your own gardens. Even though there's some places, like some states, they don't want you to collect rainwater, don't want you to plant foods, and you have nice big backyards. Hey, your natural rights are guaranteed under your own state constitution. All you got to do is examine it thoroughly. That supersedes their edicts. Whether it's a law or not, they're null and void. So, I'm going to do another one here about the coronavirus could kill the NWOs, what Patrick Buchanan has to say. Chancellor Angela Merkel warns that 70% of Germany's population, 58 million, could contract the coronavirus. If she is right, and Dr. Anthony Fauci's mortality rate holds her country, that could mean more than 500,000 dead Germans. Czech Prime Minister Andrej Babiš called Merkel's remarks unhelpful and said it could cause panic. But Harvard epidemiologist Mark Lipsitch seemed to support Merkel, saying between 40 to 70% of the world's population could become infected. Again, if Fauci's 1% mortality rate and Lipsitch's estimate proves on target, between 3 billion to 5 billion people on Earth will be infected and 30 million to 50 million could die, a total greater than that of the Spanish flu of 1918. There is, however, some contradictory news. China, with 81,000 cases, has noted a declaration of new cases, and South Korea appears to be gradually containing the spread of the virus. Yet Italy, with its largely elderly population, may be a harbinger of what it is to come in the West. As of this week, have reportedly 35,713 cases and 2,978 deaths, a mortality rate of 8%, but that can change right now, so just to let you folks know. That's what he got so far. In the U.S., the death toll at this writing is 160, a tiny fraction of an annual toll of tens of thousands who die of the flu in this nation. But the problem is this: the Wuhan virus has not nearly run its course in the USA. While the reaction society and the economy approaches what we might expect from boiling national disaster, the stock market has plunged further and faster than it did in the great crash of 1929. Trillions of dollars in wealth have vanished. If Senator Bernie does not like millionaires and billionaires, he should be pleased. There are far fewer of them today than were when he won the New Hampshire primary. What does the future hold? It may one day be said as the coronavirus delivered a death blow to the New World Order, to a half century of globalization, and to air the interdependence of the world's greatest national economies. Tourism, air travel, vacation cruises, international gatherings, and festivals are already shutting down. Travel bans between countries and continents are being imposed. Conventions, concerts, and sporting events are being canceled. Will the Tokyo Olympics go forward? If they do, will all the anticipated visitors from abroad come to Japan to enjoy the games? Actually, it was postponed to 2021. And Trump issued a 1-month travel ban on Europe, crushing the European tourism market. As for open borders crowd, Democrats still believe that breaking into our country should no longer be a crime. And immigrants arriving illegally should be given free health care, a proposition to which all Democratic debaters raised their hands. The ideological roots of our free trade era can be traced to the mid-19th century, when its great evangelist, Richard Cobden, rose at Free Trade Hall in Manchester on January 15, 1846, and rhapsodized, "I see the free trade principle in that which shall act on the moral world as the principle of gravitation in the universe, drawing men together, thrusting aside the antagonism of race and creed and language, and uniting us in the bonds of eternal peace." Very globalist indeed. In the pre-Trump era, Republicans held hands with liberal Democrats in embracing NAFTA, GATT, and the World Trade Organization, and mostly favored nation trade privileges for China. In retrospect, what was wise to have relied on China to produce essential parts for the supply chain of goods vital to our national security, it does appear wise to have moved the production of pharmaceuticals and life-saving drugs for heart disease, strokes, and diabetes to China? Does it appear wise to have allowed China to develop a virtual monopoly on rare earth minerals crucial to the development of weapons for our defense? If this coronavirus pandemic, people now seem to be looking for authoritative leaders, and nations seem to be looking out for their own peoples first. Would Merkel today invite millions of Syrian refugees into Germany no matter what conditions under which they were living in Syria and Turkey? It is not the case now conclusive that we made a historic mistake when we outsourced our economic independence to rely for vital necessities upon nations that have never had America's best interests at heart, which rings true today. We are all part of mankind, all citizens of the world, or that it's time to put America and Americans first. Well. Yeah, I mean, many people call Pat Buchanan a racist, just to ruffle feathers, use those buzzwords, mind control propaganda. However, he is right on this subject. Globalism sucks. That's right. And I was against all those, NAFTA, GATT, World Trade Organizations. I was against all that. I believe in fair trade, not on a globalist perspective to tell us how to think and live. We could do this on our own. But the whole coronavirus can backfire, right? Oh, absolutely. Many claimed, China solved the problem on beating COVID-19. Don't fall for it, folks. Their government is just as very corrupt too. This is why government in Latin means control of the mind. Something to look at. Well, based on all this, we can know is a plunder. And this came from The Law, the book called The Law, by Frederic Bastait. And it says here, legal plunders has many names. Now, legal plunder can be committed in an infinite number of ways. Thus, we have an infinite number of plans for organizing it. Tariffs, protection, benefits, subsidies, encouragements, progressive taxations, public schools, guaranteed jobs, guaranteed profits, minimum wages, a right to relief, a right to the tools of labor, free credit, and so on and so on. All these plans as a whole, with their common aim of legal plunder, constitute socialism. And don't get me wrong, there's people I know who have socialist views, but you always got to look at the bigger picture. It's like anything when it comes to economics under totalitarianism. Fascism the same way, folks. And state capitalism, which is not open free market. Neo-mercantilism, mercantilism. Plunders, okay? Just to give you some clarification. Now, since under this definition of socialism is a body of doctrine, what attack can be made against it other than a war of doctrine? If you find the socialistic doctrine to be false, absurd, and evil, then refute it. And the more false, the more absurd, and the more evil it is, the easier it will be to refute. Above all, if you wish to be strong, and begin by rooting out every particle of socialism that may have crept into your legislation. This will be no light task. Came out in 1850, by the way. And it's very good stuff, I have to say. I bought the book, and I'm enjoying it. And everyone who's a liberty-minded individual should read this. So definitely, I am going to put all this on my footnotes, okay? So you can folks can check it out yourselves. But remember, the key, eternal vigilance is the key to liberty. Govern yourselves, my friends. Don't let the state rely on the state to take care of you. Because if you let that happen, they will ram you in the rear end when you least expect it. And that's a fact. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want me to send something that's interesting I want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence with decorum. Like I said aforementioned, all this information will be on my footnotes. Spreaker page, on my Spreaker page. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.